Hello friends, this is Professor Naresh Jain from Prime Actual Institute. In this video, I have tried to give you the strong foundation of accounts which is useful for CB1 or CT2 earlier. Accounting, those are going to appear for the accounting subjects, and those who do not have any formal accounting degrees. I tried to put it in a simple language. I am sure you all will appreciate it. These are some of the basic foundation concepts based on which the entire financial statement preparation is done. By financial statements we mean the income statement and the balance sheet mainly. All these concepts will be discussed in the coming slides one by one. So you can see the names of these concepts which we are going to discuss it now. This is continued here till the principle of consistency. Let's discuss these concepts one by one. The most important concept that we discuss all the time is about historical cost concept. This concept is useful only for valuation of non-current assets. By non-current assets we say these are the assets which are having the beneficial period. That means the period beyond the period where we get the benefit of using the assets that spills beyond one accounting year. So say suppose we purchase a machinery today, we get the benefit of running the machinery over 10 years or 20 years. So these are non-current assets. The benefit of these assets spills beyond one accounting period, normally one accounting year. These assets are shown in statement of financial position, which we often call it as balance sheet. As per this concept, the non-current assets are to be valued at original cost less accumulated depreciation. So if you purchase the asset at 10 lakhs of rupees 3 years back and charge the straight line method depreciation of 1 lakh per year, then at the end of third year, the financial statements of balance sheet will reflect the value of this asset at 7 lakhs. 10 lakhs the original cost less 3 lakhs the depreciation to be charged at the rate of rupee 1 lakh per annum. So 3 lakhs in 3 years. This point is a very important one, maybe a little tricky. We have already seen that we have already assumed that we will be charging rupee 1 lakh of depreciation every year when we estimate the life of machinery to be 10 years and the cost of the machine is 10 lakhs. So in 3 years we have accumulated depreciation charged at the rate of 1 lakh per year. Now at the end of third year we find that machinery value has declined considerably. The decline is because the impairment. Impairment is such a loss which is excess or some kind of loss which cannot be recovered. This impairment loss, for example, can be that the products generated from the machine is now obsolete, is outdated. So naturally the value of the machinery will be quite declining. And this declinement, say the value of the machinery after this impairment is 3 lakhs. We are already showing it at 7 lakhs. So what we need to do, we need to charge as expense 4 lakhs of impairment expenses, impairment charges. So that means when we assume that the value of the machines will now never go up beyond 3 lakhs. It's a permanent damage to the value of the machinery, then we make impairment. So normally the machines are valued at original cost less the accumulated depreciation, but if the impairment effect is there, then we need to consider the charges of impairment, and after considering this, the machinery value will be reduced further. So in this example we have seen the machinery value will not be shown at 7 lakhs, but it will be shown at 3 lakhs, where we know that the machinery value in future can never go up beyond 3 lakhs at all. There is another disadvantage of historical cost concept, that it doesn't consider the effect of inflation or the purchasing power of money. That means I am still showing the machine at 7 lakhs, assuming no impairment. So 10 lakhs minus accumulated depreciation of 3 lakhs at the rate of 1 lakhs per year. But now the machinery market value may have gone to 12 lakhs or 15 lakhs because of inflation. But then in our books of accounts, in the balance sheet, we continue to show it at the original cost less the accumulated depreciation. That means the effect of inflation is not considered at all while valuing non-current assets in the balance sheet. And naturally, we don't consider anything about the market value. It is simply ignored. So market value of the machinery may be 20 lakhs or maybe 15 lakhs. We simply ignore it. Market value of the machinery may be 5 lakhs. Still we ignore it. But if the 5 lakhs reduced market value is because of the permanent decline in its value, then yes, we have to consider it as a part of impairment charges. So the market value is ignored. The fair value of this non-current asset is also ignored. By fair value, we mean that it is the present value of all expected future cash flows arising from the asset in future. Fair value is quite a subjective term, and the calculation of fair values differ from one accountant to another accountant. The only thing that we need to say in this topic here is that fair value is also not considered in historical cost concept. There is a growing revolution, growing motivation, growing movement going on for changing historical cost concept to fair value, but still for a wide variety of business organizations it is still not accepted, as the fair value concept creates a lot of subjectivity and the amount of estimation differs from one person to another person. So still we are going to follow the historical cost concept, less depreciation and less the impairment in our books of accounts, mainly in balance sheet. Then comes money measurement concept. This concept is very simple. Only those things, only those transactions, only those activities can be recorded and reflected in account statements which can be measured in money terms. So if something cannot be measured in money terms, of course, they cannot be recorded in accounts. It also says objectively money terms. That means suppose the quality of product is not good, and because of which we are making less sales. Now, less reduced sales will be reflected in the financial statements, but the quality of good as such will not be reflecting anywhere in the balance sheet. Similarly, if the organization is facing labor related issues, there is a lot of labor industrial problems going on in the company, then this will not be recorded directly in the financial statements. But of course, if the company makes a less profit because of the financial issues, because of labor issues, because of these conflicts, then yes, the less profit will be reflected in the income statement and ultimately in the balance sheet. So one thing you all must be very clear is that we never provide a true picture of the value of the business in financial statements. So value of business may be very high or very low, but then these basic accounting concepts do not allow us to give a really true picture of the value of business, because the accountants are bound to follow these basic concepts of accounts. These are the fundamentals which need to be followed while preparing financial statements. Then comes business entity concept. It says that business is different from its owners. Business has its own existence, and this own existence is different from the existence of owners. So if business is different from its owners, naturally the owners can make a transaction with the business. I'll give an example here. Ford Limited is different from crores of its shareholders. So shareholders can invest in Ford. Ford can make payment to the shareholders as dividend. So shareholders and Ford Limited are two different persons, are two different entities. And this applies to all forms of business, whether the business is a sole trader, whether it is limited company. Quite often people are surprised that in sole trader there is only one owner. So even then we say that the business accounts is different from its single owner as well. And because they are two different entities, they can make transactions within each other. So shareholders can make transactions with the business entity, and business entity can also make transactions with the shareholders. Then comes another important concept of realization. Realization concept is applied mainly for the income and revenue. By revenue we mean the sales. Interestingly, accountant believes that income is recognized when it is earned, when it is rendered. If I say a professional is there, then his income is recognized when he renders the services, no matter whether the money is received or not. Similarly, when a firm is making a sale, the goods are leaving the premises and the company raises the bill or the invoice against the sale, it is regarded as sale at that point of time itself. Even if the money is received after 6 months or 8 months or 9 months or next year or after 3 years, it is recorded as sales when the invoices are prepared and the goods are leaving the factory premises. So that means we have seen here my calendar financial year is 2020, from January 1 to December 31, 2020. My organization has made a sales on 31st of December 2020, but the money is collected after 6 months in 2021. Now, still the sale of the goods made on December 31st, 2020 will be considered a sale of the calendar year 2020 only, even if the money is received in the financial year 2021, in the next year. So sale is considered only in the date on which the goods are leaving the factory premises, and on that day, the day on which the company raises invoice. The date of invoice is really important. So this is a relation concept, but many of the organizations are using this relation concept for their window dressing. In fact, they can manipulate or fabricate the accounts as well by using this concept. That's another limitation of the relation concept. But limitation apart, the organization is required to follow relation concept compulsorily. The same is true for expenses. So expenses are recognized as and when they are incurred. What does it mean? I give you an example here very clearly. Suppose a business has taken a property on lease for next 12 months, and the amount of rent is say 1,000 rupee or pound every year. Now, The business has occupied the premises for the entire 12 months, but still paid the rent only for 9 months right now. Now payment of rent does not make it a different that the expenses has to be recognized as 12,000 only, which is the entire expense for that period, for the accounting year of 1 year. And this is true even if the firm has paid amount of rent for say 9 months or the amount of rent say 15,000. That means even if you paid the amount of rent in the year 2020 as 9,000 or 15,000, the expense to be considered in that year will be 12,000 only, because it is rent for the period for which the firm has occupied the property and utilized the property for the purpose of business transactions. So expenses are recognized for the period we are using those expenses. We are utilizing the effect of those expenses, then they are considered. So in technical terms, we say expenses are recognized as expense when they are incurred and not when they are paid. Then comes the dual aspect concept. Every financial transaction will always affect two figures in financial statements, and that is why it is known as popularly as double entry bookkeeping system. We are given an example here. The example says if a machinery is purchased in cash for say 20 lakhs, okay, the machinery value will go up by 20 lakhs. At the same time, the cash or the bank balance will go down by 20 lakhs. So two accounts are affected. One is machinery, gone up. Another is cash or bank, which has gone down. So gone up or gone down is different, but then the two accounts are reflected. One is cash, another is machinery. So two figures are reflected here. Similarly, the firm is borrowing money of $1,000 from X. My cash balance goes up by $1,000, it is plus. At the same time, I have also created a liability to pay $1,000. So liability is for the payment, is for the amount due, which will also go up by $1,000. So it has affected two places. One is the cash balance goes up by 1,000. At the same time, the liability also goes up by $1,000. So two places are affected. Then comes concept of materiality. In simple language, we can say the concept of materiality is the concept of significance. That means we produce the accounts only in so much of details which makes it comfortable for the shareholders to understand. In a negative sense, if I discuss this concept, then we don't create so much of minute adjustments which are of no real value to the readers of the statement. So for example, there are expenses of high tea, business expense, stationery expense, again a petty expense. So company need not show high tea expense and stationery expense as two different expenses in its accounting statements. Company can always combine these two expenses and any other expenses as well, and combined together it can show it as administrative expense or office expense or miscellaneous expense, depending upon the amount, the magnitude of those expenses, the volume of those expenses. So need not to provide so much of details that in the entire year high tea expenses was 50 pounds and stationery expenses was 30 pounds. So no shareholders or no stakeholders are interested in so much of fine minute adjustments. So we can create a clubbing of those expenses to such a manner which is comfortable for the stakeholders to understand and to read. So creating unnecessary details which has no meaning, which has no real impact to be portrayed by the financial statements will need to be avoided. Now the question always arises, like whether £100 is material or not. Now it all depends on the size of the business. For one business, £100 may be material. For a small business, for a middle-sized business, £100 is absolutely material. We have seen even for a middle-sized business, the expense for the entire year of say £100,000 is also immaterial. So we may combine 2-3 expenses like high tea, stationery, travel expenses can be combined and can be clubbed together and shown together as administrative expenses. Then comes the concept of prudence. In simple language, for those who are not from the accounting background, in simple language, we say accountants play a safe game. Say we are making an accounts for the year 2020 and 31st December is the last day for the accounting year 2020. Now we have made some transport expenses, we have already purchased the raw material, but we have not yet received the bill from the supplier. Or even if we have received the bill from the supplier, we are not certain how much we are going to pay, and is subject to dispute. Some conflict is going on. So what we can do in that case? We know we have purchased the raw material and the transport expenses has to be paid. But how much, that we don't know. We need to pay in next year. The amount is still not certain. Amount is still to be settled. So in this year 2020, we need to show it as expense. So what we do? We know that we may require to pay only say $1,000 in this year. $1,000 related to the expenses incurred in this year. But still, the accountants take a conservative view. They will be happy to provide as expense maybe $1,300 instead of $1,000. So while expenses, they know that reasonably $1,000 is required to be paid, but still they want to play safe. They want to show the lower profit because in eventually his estimate goes wrong. Then still he is playing safe. He already shown as higher expense in the year 2020 and the expense shown is already at $1,300. So he has already charged a higher amount of expense in the current year. This is just to play safe game, so that any eventuality, if any higher expenses are to be paid and conflict goes settled unfavorably to the organization, still the organization has created enough cushion by charging more expenses in the current year 2020. Exactly the same prudence concept is applied for the profits. Company has made sales, but still there is a dispute about the quality. So there is uncertainty about how much money the company is going to realize from its customers. Now in that case, what the company does? So company in its accounts, company takes a lower figure. So while for the expenses, company considers higher figure, but for the income or the sales figure, company takes a lower value. In both the cases, the company is playing safe by applying the concept of prudence. So playing safe, showing maximum possible losses that may arise. So estimate to be done based on the maximum possible losses that may have to be paid, not reasonable, but maximum possible losses. So here we are not reasonable, we are not fair, we are trying to play safe. We are trying to play safe. The company is trying to play safe and they consider the maximum possible losses that they could perceive or feel. At the same time, if there are incomes to be realized, then they take the lower value. Both the higher expenses and the lower income are a part of the concept of prudence. This concept is very simple. We always assume that the company, the firm, the business is going to continue indefinitely for a longer time indefinitely. It will continue its business for all the time in future to come. It may be an absurd assumption, but then in accounts we go ahead with this assumption only. We assume that the business of firm is not going to be liquidated or wound up soon. This concept is useful only for the preparation of financial statements and not in reality that we know that the company will continue its existence for infinity period in future. But for the purpose of preparation of the financial statements, we assume that business will continue forever, infinitely in future. Then comes the concept of consistency. The consistency says that once the principles regarding different transactions are finalized and adopted by the company, then the company should adopt the same principles over different periods, over different accounting years as well. So the company has charged, for example, the straight line method of depreciation in the year 2020 and in the years to come as well, then company should adopt the same depreciation policy in all the years. But if for some compelling reasons the depreciation policy is to be changed from straight line to WDV or written down value method of depreciation, then the impact of the change in the accounting policy from straight line method of depreciation to WDV method of depreciation, the impact on profit because of change in accounting policies has to be shown in notes of accounts, which is a part of the annual report prepared along with the preparation of financial statements. So that is true not just for depreciation, for valuation of inventory, and for the purpose any other principles that we apply, we need to apply those principles consistently for all the years to come unless there is a compelling reason to change it. Thank you very much. Friends, I have tried to put all these concepts in simple language. I am sure you will all be enjoying this video. You may try to be in touch with me for any question, any query on the given number of 96380 20324. Thank you very much.